Hello and welcome back to my Cowboys family. Today's video we're going to discuss the defensive line. Now this is an interesting group of guys because this is going to be a rotational situation here. With Rod Marinelli's defense, especially on our defensive line, there's never really going to be a set 4 or 5 guys. We're going to have like 8 guys in a rotation. Now the Cowboys run a base defense of 4-3, meaning 4 defensive linemen, usually 2 ends and 2 tackles, and then they run 3 linebackers. So we're going to concentrate on the front 4. Let's start with the defensive ends. The Cowboys drafted Taco Charlton in the first round of this year's draft in hopes to bolster their pass rush defense. I think he's just another cog in the wheel, so to speak. I don't think he's not a pass rushing specialist. So I don't think the Cowboy fans got what we wanted when it came to a pass rushing defensive end. But we do still have DeMarcus Lawrence. I think he could still be decent and put up some numbers. He was coming up with suspension last year, and then he was injured towards the end of the season last year. But I think he's going to be our starter, at least in the beginning of this season. I think Benson Mayowa, people forget about him. Be careful for him. I think he's another defensive end that came to life, I'd say, halfway through last season. And he led the team in sacks. I think he had 6 sacks. You can see him improving every game, so that's a good sign. That Mayowa is definitely somebody that I think is gonna challenge for the starting spot as well, with Lawrence and with Taco. Another guy that we brought into camp, he came from the Giants. I think he was with Seattle as well. Is Demontre Moore. Now in the OTAs, we've been hearing a lot of great things about him, so that's always a good sign. And he might be more. He's a pass rushing specialist, so that's something that we need in our defensive lineup. Now he's not going to be in every play, and if he does play, it'll probably be on passing downs, but that's okay. It's going to work. He's going to work fine with Marinelli, assuming that he can continue to stay healthy and continue to do well as he has been in the OTAs. We also have Tyrone Crawford, and he's one of these hidden guys. I don't think he's that good. The Cowboys still have him. They use him at tackle, defensive tackle. They use him defensive end. Not really sure where he's going to end up this year, but I don't know. He might be starting this season at defensive end, but I see him fading away like he usually does. And I just hate saying that, but I just don't have confidence in Tyrone Crawford. We also have Charles Tapper, who might be a surprise this season. Last year, he was one of our rookies that we drafted, but he was injured, and he never got to see the field. I don't think he even played. So this year, I'm hearing again, he's somebody that they're banking on to hopefully also be a kind of a good rusher and put pressure on the quarterback. So again, with him and Moore, we have Lawrence, and we have the Taco Charlton, the rookie. We have Tyrone Crawford still there. There's a lot of defensive ends on our team. We can cycle through and find a good combination on depending on down in situation, down in distance, and all these factors come into mind and into play when you're dealing with Marinelli and his defense. Now, when it comes to our defensive tackles, we have about 3 or 4 guys that are solid. Unfortunately, one of them is suspended, and that's David Irving. Now, he could play defensive end, he could play defensive tackle. He's a big guy, he has long arms, and he's played both positions. He did fantastic in Green Bay. He had, I think, his best game in Dallas, but against Tampa, where he just had like 3 sacks in that one game, almost all in the fourth quarter. But because he is suspended, as we already know, and he's going to miss, I think, 4 games because of a performance-enhancing drug test that he failed. That's going to hurt us a little bit. I think it's going to hurt more his development than actually hurt the Cowboys, because we do have other guys that we can still go to. We have Malik Collins, who I think is a solid inside player. I also think that Cedric Thornton, I'm not really sold on him yet. He's a former Eagle, so of course it's going to be hard to sell me on that. But I think that he showed some promise too. We picked up Stephen Paella, another guy who was drafted early in the draft a bunch of years ago and ended up being kind of a bust. But again, I think injuries slowed his progress down, and I'm hoping that he can be a surprise for the Cowboys. We'll see what he can do at the tackle position, at the defensive tackle position. We drafted Joey Ivey from the Gators, and he's supposed to be pretty average. He might make the practice squad. It's going to be tough for him to crack into that defensive rotation the starting defensive rotation. But that's pretty much a good roundup of all the players we have. Of course, number 94, Randall Gregory, he's suspended for this season as well. He was gone last season for 14 games out of the 16, so he's going to miss this entire season as well. He's just continuously fails drug tests. I think the fact that Gregory has not played, is not going to play for 2 years with us, is a big bust and really hurt our development on our defensive line, establishing a rush on the quarterback. I mean, I think he was going to be, the Cowboys were planning to bank on him as our primary rush guy, and he looked good, but he just can't stay on the field for whatever the reason. So, on the field, you're useless. And aside from that, I mean, that's pretty much the wrap-up of our entire defensive line. Please let me know if I missed anything. Please comment on your thoughts on our defensive line for this season and heading into training camp, all right? Hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and as always, go Cowboys.